This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and possibly Simon Slater. On this, our 124th episode.
I'm up in Massachusetts with producer Simon Slater. In fact, I'm next to him. I'm in his parents' house.
We're finally all in the same time zone.
We're in the same time zone, and then, well, at least me and you will be in the same time zone as of Friday again, but on the West Coast, Pacific time. So, you feeling rested yet, or are you just feeling? Who knows what you're feeling?
Excuse me. 6 weeks in
rested,
Europe, 20 hours. 20 hours to get back. I'm feeling great.
Well, we're heading into this Thanksgiving week here, but before we even talk about Thanksgiving, the state of Wisconsin seems to be really in the news between Rittenhouse getting off in more ways than one, it seems like. Did you hear about the dancing grannies tragedy, Lydia?
I did hear about the dancing grannies. Please illustrate further.
Well, the dancing grannies are a Milwaukee-based dancing grandma-themed troupe. I think you can be in your 50s, but a granny can be in their 50s. So, yeah, 50s and up. And they've been around for a while, and they do different types of parades and events, and they have these kind of choreographed things that they put together, and everyone seems to love them, except for Daryl Brooks Jr., who decided to drive his car full speed into the dancing grannies on the Christmas parade in Waukesha.
Well, not only into the dancing grannies, but it seems into about 40 other people, killing 5 of them. Now 6, actually.
6 are dead. I thought those were all dancing grannies. So those were just other people too. I didn't realize that. Okay.
I don't know the exact head count or leg count of the dancing grannies, but I know that a few of the people that died were kids. I think that a lot were kids that were impacted.
Well, I guess, yes. I guess Daryl Brooks Jr. felt like he wasn't being heard, and now I guess people are paying attention.
Well, I mean, who wasn't being heard is whoever kept letting him out on low bail because he had like a rap sheet with 22 criminal offenses, I believe.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to say. People are fucking nuts.
Justice is skewered always in the weirdest of ways.
It seems to be.
Yeah, speaking of injustice, let's get right into Thanksgiving, a holiday found
Sure.
absolute injustice. Go ahead.
Well, I was doing some research and I was looking. I was like, well, Thanksgiving, United States. What I knew Canada also had their Thanksgiving. I was like, well, there must be other countries that celebrate Thanksgiving, and there's actually a nice list of them. In Australia, Norfolk Island celebrates Thanksgiving because they were introduced to the tradition through American whalers back in the 19th century. Of course, we know Canada has it, but theirs in October, with the exception of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. They want nothing to do with it. Grenada, the little micro island in the Caribbean, they celebrate it since Reagan bombed them in '83 and killed the Prime Minister Maurice Bishop, and now I think it's just kind of like, we love you, America, and now they celebrate Thanksgiving since 1983. Seems pretty nuts to me. Liberia, now this is an interesting one.
What?
So Liberia, oh yes, Liberia celebrates Thanksgiving. They've been celebrating it since 1821. For those who don't know about Liberia's resettlement of African Americans, a bunch, before the Civil War, a bunch were liberated. Some states were outlawing it. More and more slaves were freed. Educated former slaves. This is the sad truth about the oppressed becoming the oppressor, and it seems to always happen. Many of them went back to Liberia. They said, screw this shit. I never meant to come here to begin with. I'm going back to Liberia. Well, as soon as they went into Liberia, they started literally wearing the same clothes that their slave owners, plantation owners were wearing, created their own plantations, and basically started enslaving the other Liberians, even though they're American Liberians. They went back and they basically just, the oppressed began the oppressed. They started just doing the exact same shit that was done to them. And they started forcing Thanksgiving onto Liberia. And it's still celebrated to this day.
Well, Thanksgiving, I'm going to cut in for a minute. Thanksgiving was originally a day of fasting, not gluttony. Did you know
Not
that?
picking out. Okay, I did not know that. I did not know that. No.
Originally, it
What's
was
the
a day of
giving part with
fasting.
fasting?
Well, it was a day of fasting to honor the coming harvest. And this was by the Puritans who got everything wrong anyway.
Ah,
But what's even worse is the desire for gluttony on a day that what are we actually thankful for? Look, in my own life, I feel I have a lot to be thankful for. I also have a lot to be unthankful for and horrified
there you
by.
go.
Carry on with your trivia,
Yeah.
please.
All right. All right. Well, the Philippines, they started celebrating it when we liberated them from the Japanese. And then that, after a while, they're like, what the fuck are we doing this for? And they stopped it for a while. In 1969, they stopped it. But then pro-Reagan, Ferdinand Marcos, pro-Americans, like, we're bringing that back. So they're doing it again. Now, there are harvest festivals all over the world, but this is where I fucked up my research. Write it down. Germany and Japan have a kind of spin-off derived Thanksgiving that is directly linked with the American Thanksgiving, which is basically like Japan's like, thank you for nuking us. And Germany's like, thank you for putting a gun to our head and stopping us doing what we were doing. So I shouldn't laugh.
Yeah,
But,
and then bringing all of the worst over to help work on various bomb making activities, etc.
so I have a question, Lydia, because I have a couple funny and maybe not so funny Thanksgiving memories that maybe you want to share any of yours from childhood, growing up,
I
ever in
have
your life. I mean,
zero zip zilch memories of Thanksgiving, a holiday like so many others. I absolutely freaking abhor, but I do like a bit of stuffing every now and then, if you know what I'm talking about.
no pun intended, sure. But I would say we had a good one last year. You came over to my house. That was we had that
If I'll never
marzipan.
forget, I'll never forget the horrifying marzipan turkey. Don't remind me. I'm already not going to eat just thinking about it. But go ahead.
Think about that one. So a few years back, because Simon and I went high school, the same area, Massachusetts. So we would go back to Massachusetts for Thanksgiving. There was a tradition. There was this really crappy kind of tin warehouse makeshift bar called JD Myers and Best Friends Incorporated up the street from my parents. Just sports bar.
And by the way, Tim, did you know the night before Thanksgiving is the biggest drinking day of the year? I know it leads into your story.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense because a lot of people just kind of come to their parents or family and they haven't seen each other for years. So we would go up there, and this place at the time wasn't so hopping, but there was maybe 8 people in there, and they had a turkey raffle. This is Thanksgiving Eve, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna buy a bunch of tickets. There's only 8 people here, and I bet you I'm gonna win the turkey. So I stacked the house. I said in my favor. Of course, my number comes up, so I win a turkey.
Bingo!
And there's some so I have this frozen turkey in my arm, a beer and a scotch, and juggling in one other hand.
And by the way, if it wasn't thought out by Thanksgiving Eve, it's probably not going to be ready to cook unless you're going to deep fry it again.
Well, my mom was going to be cooking, and so she already had that prepared. But I was like,
of course,
what do I do with this? What do I do with this? So I come home, whatever it was, 1:30 in the morning. I stuff it next to the one she had bought. So all morning, she's like, am I losing my mind? I buy 2 turkeys. What is going on here? And of course, I don't know, Mom. Maybe you're hitting that age, kind of fucking with her. Eventually, I felt bad and I confessed and I told her what happened. So the story's not over. The next year, we go up. This time, Simon and Eli, or Simon's brother, are with us, and Dr. David Earl Budden is with us. We all joined the raffle again. This time, one of the Slater brothers win. And I'm like, boys, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. Take it home and put it next to the family turkey. So, of course, the Slater parents are wondering, what the fuck's this turkey here? Blah, blah, blah. They put it on like a little mud porch out there. What's going on? And of course, the Slater boys never confess. And Dr. David Earl Budden, the good Christian that he is, he doesn't like to lie. So they'll go up to him like, Dave, do you know anything about this turkey? He's like, I don't know. He like run to the other room. by the end, Dr. Slater, that's Simon's father, had a theory. He goes to his wife, Brenda, a neighborhood dog must have broken into another house and brought it back as a little reward because they like us so much.
Say that again, Simon. I missed it. Sorry. Say it again.
My mom pulled Dave Budden aside and goes, "Did Simon and Eli break into a house and steal someone's turkey?"
Which is funny because they actually genuinely wondered.
I have no Thanksgiving memories, but this reminds me of possibly something Simon and Eli would do, knowing at least Simon as intimately as I do. You know, I had this sex column for a while called Tough Love, where I would write the questions and the answers. And around Thanksgiving, one of the questions was, I'm making Thanksgiving dinner for my friends. And I was just wondering, will I get salmonella if I masturbate into the cavity first? Answer was, I can't tell you I know, but go ahead, buddy. Suit yourself.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, there's all types of little sex things, jokes you can make with turkey. I mean, dark meat, white meat, the stuffing, you know, all that stuff, you know. Just don't bring up cranberry sauce. We don't know what that's about. So,
do you know how you can tell if a cranberry's ripe?
Is this a joke?
Yeah, no.
No, I don't. Answer.
If it bounces, it's ripe. Now, can you tell if these cranberries are ripe? They're kind of bouncy.
those are cranberries, baby.
A part of them looks like cranberries.
Well, yeah, you have little cranberry beads, and
that's right.
You have nice ones. I mean, you have nice ones. They're not watermelons. They're the sweet spot. You got them in the sweet spot.
All right, you're getting hungry. All right, I can tell you're getting hungry.
Well, I mean, I also have a dysfunctional family Thanksgiving story. I don't know if I should include that.
Well, why not? You think they're going to listen?
So, well. The thing is, it must have been junior high school. I was with my mom for Thanksgiving. I only know this because my cousin, who was in Chicago, and my aunt Marcia, who was the prostitute who killed someone, who I loved. She was making a big Thanksgiving spread up in Milwaukee. And my dad, my uncle, and my cousin, they all went up there. Of course, my dad and uncle just started guzzling booze immediately, and they're just like telling Marcia, "This shit, it's all garbage, crappy food, junk." They were just kind of being jerks, just assholes. And so that's when
a frozen turkey comes in handy to clobber somebody over the fucking nugget, huh?
Oh,
carry on.
Oh, supposedly she fucking exploded. There was like threats. Like, it was totally like tables been overturned. And I think like my dad had some shit problems. He was wasted on the toilet, like guzzling Pepto, screaming. It was one of those dysfunctional Thanksgivings I ever heard of. So my cousin, she was like 12 or 13. She like tuned out. She was woken up at like 3 a.m. by my uncle. Was like, "Eloise, we're driving back to Chicago." Marcia, my aunt, after like it all calmed down, just went full force in the hard booze. I think she had like a knife or something. He's like, "It's too dangerous to stay here. She might kill someone." So they had to drive back to Chicago, and he took her out to, they went back to Mitchell's in Chicago for a while. You know, I'm glad my cousin and I can laugh about it and no one got hurt. But yeah, this, family gatherings can bring out the worst in us.
Well, I really don't understand why it's one of the biggest travel days of the year. I don't know if it's because Christmas and Hanukkah are spread up, but I just really don't understand the need to gather just to gorge.
Well, America, we're a bunch of pigs. We love pigging out. Oh, and they also have like a bunch of football games on, so sports gambling. It brings a lot of stuff together.
Oh, God.
I mean, there are 90 million people between Richmond, Virginia, and Portland, Maine. And I got up here. That's why I came up here on Sunday, because I'm just sick of it. I mean, it's fucking from New York to where my mom lives in Massachusetts. Like Thanksgiving, it's like close. It's a 7.5 hour drive. Just sucks. Close to 8. It should be 4, but now.
Yeah, and I should have flew back from Europe. I should have flew back from Europe on the Concorde, but I don't think they make them anymore. So what are you going to do? It was your choice to go up
exactly.
There. Family gatherings. I guess this is going to be one of the biggest ones post-pandemic. In other words, COVID might be spreading, and I don't know what to say about that.
It's super spreader, and not to bring up bad news, but we're flying on Black Friday, and then from San Francisco to LA, we're flying on the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So those airports are going to be total shit shows. In fact, I'm going to look at my points. I actually might upgrade because I'm just sick of the flying Greyhound bus as it is these days.
Look, excuse me, buddy. Don't tell me about what you're sick of. I just got back from 6 weeks on the road. I'm sick of trains, planes, and people. Period. Retrovirus in San Francisco with Oxbow. That should be a killer show. Literally, Eugene might actually strangle somebody in his underwear as he usually does. And then this ridiculous 3-day festival of bands I've never heard of in Los Angeles at a beautiful downtown theater. And then that kind of wraps up the year for me. I don't know about you, but after that, you'll find me where I am now in my bedroom salon being serviced.
But no, Weasel and I have a show after our Retrovirus show in LA. I'll do a solo thing. He'll do a duo. But yes. Yeah, after that, I guess a couple of New York things. But yeah, it's pretty kind of quiet. Anyhow, so let's should we segue into our guest this week?
We should. Well, somebody who's not been quiet and somebody that has both a lot to be thankful for and a lot to be resentful for, because 15 Facebook accounts canceled and censored because of the radical nature of his form of incredibly psychedelic and queer expressionism, which is Gio Black Peter, somebody that I suggest you try to find out about. His paintings are incredible. He does plays, he writes music, and he's a general troublemaker of the highest order, which, of course, you know, I'm always fond of those troublemakers, being one myself. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and Gio Black Peter. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and Gio Black Peter, a visual artist, playwright, general troublemaker who's been censored far too much. But then again, that's what we're going into in this fascismo times. Welcome, Gio.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's my first time on Zoom.
All right.
So
well,
during the whole COVID lockdown, you never even dove into the Zoom world.
No, fuck that. You can tell I'm excited to talk to you guys because I got on Zoom. I had my I didn't even know what it was. I had to have my fuck buddy explain to me I needed to download something. And
I'd like you to explain to me exactly what, and you don't even have to say who your fuck buddy is all about. I'm just saying you opened the door, honey.
Yeah, he's a real sweetheart. He came around and he downloaded the app, and we did a test run just to make sure it was working.
And here we go now. And of course, you won't be censored here.
Okay.
So
good.
you've had a lot of censorship because of your art, which I'm just going to describe as like queer, psychedelic, provocative, very colorful, and really pretty exciting stuff you have there. And I mean, I was reading a few articles about your interviews, and where you say that a lot of your videos, because you also do music, you write plays, that a lot of your videos have been censored.
Yeah, everything gets censored, but I guess I'm doing something right then if it's getting censored and hitting that nerve.
So who's censoring your work?
Well, I mean, like social media, it's like my whole thing is I'm just showing images to represent my real life. I'm not trying to be like
Purposefully shocking. You're just being like, you're depicting your own reality.
Exactly.
I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have like friends who, people have suggested I should join Twitter because Twitter is more sex friendly or all that shit. And my whole thing is I'm not here to. I was just having this conversation with my friend. We're talking about like porn, and if what I do is porn. And if you jerk off to the work that I put out, that's fine, but it's
that's
not my
porn
intention.
on the viewer's shoulder. It's not necessarily porn as an intention.
Right. Yeah. My intention is just to express myself creatively and put out images and work and art that represents my life.
Or reality.
Yeah, including my sexuality in an honest way.
I understand because I mean, unfortunately, because of I guess when I've never been censored, which is unbelievable. But then again,
What? That is hard to believe.
because a lot of the work that I did came out. First of all, I don't make enough money for them to come after me. It was before social media, so there was no cancel culture. I was dealing honestly with my sexuality in both literature, like Paradoxia, or the films I did with Richard Kern. And I mean, not only was it not censored, but films that could by the viewer be considered pornography, which I did not create as pornography, but had pornographic images, were then elevated, to some people's opinion, by the Whitney Museum, who considered it, the top cinema of transgression. My film Fingered, which was either a frat boy beer party rager, or the most misogynist or the most feminist film ever made. But again, I think that time period I came up with was, if not more lenient, there wasn't as much of this nonsense going on. And right now it's very difficult I mean, we have, between the new Puritanism and Cardi B, it's such a wide, bizarre.
Right. Yeah, but the thing is that the reason that, I agree with that. And also the reason that Cardi B can, be celebrated, or her sexuality can be celebrated, which I love Cardi B, and I love that she's pushing her pussy out there in the same way that guys used to
Push their dicks out.
Yeah, exactly. Cardi B is in the lineage of a Mick Jagger or fucking, I don't know, Axl Rose. Yeah, and they're not used to seeing a woman take that ownership for her sexuality and her body. And also she's she's a female of color. So it's the complete other spectrum. But to me, when I see Cardi B, I see her on the same level or adjacent to as Axl Rose when he was in his heyday. Same with Azalea Banks. Everyone gets in her case because she's this she's got no filter and she's saying all this shit, but that she's a rock star.
I mean, growing up, all the kind of puritanical censors, when I was growing up in the late 70s and 80s, it was all this kind of Reagan Christian right. And now, as a raised left-wing leftist, it's the left is fucking well, the Christian right is they're just crazy now. But the left are really censoring. I don't understand.
No,
this.
I mean, there's so many forms of the new Puritanism, which, by the way, this country is fucking founded on. Let's not get that wrong. It was founded by Puritans, not for religious freedom, but for religious perversion, and not only censorship, but the murder of the indigenous people. So the hypocrisy here has been forever, when we can have 3,000 to 4,000 possible serial killers in America, 91,000 missing Americans. But let's now start canceling the honest discussion of people's sexuality.
The scarlet letters are being stamped on people every fucking day. And it's reading that book growing up, which is wait, I guess the message never really translated to the general public.
So let's go back to your growing up, because you were born in Guatemala.
Correct.
And how long did you live there? And what was it like, just as a kid and as a teenager growing up there? What were your influences? Did you have access?
Well, I left when I immigrated to the U.S. and I moved to New York when I was 5. So I grew up here in America as a non-American. But I just want to say one quick thing about when we're talking about sexuality and Cardi B and all that, was that they as the mainstream and the people who are putting the parameters of how we can express ourselves in an open way. It's not that they have a problem with sexuality and sex. It's just that they have a problem with sexuality and sex was not tied to capitalism. If you're not making money for someone, or you're not making money, you're not a product, and you're just doing it to celebrate yourself and your body, that's where the problem comes. Because nobody had a problem with Britney Spears was popping her pussy out for Disney when she was 15 and 16 because she was a product. But you can't.
I so agree with you. I so absolutely agree with you that, and this is the problem I have with even that there are so many women, especially still emboldened only by the corporate pimps making money for the corporate capitalists and playing the pretty hoe, and that's just out there still.
Yeah. And for me, it's like my whole thing is I don't want to go on Twitter. I want to go and play where everybody else is playing, where everybody gets to celebrate their life. People get to put pictures and videos of their kids, what they had for lunch, when they went to on a holiday. I want to celebrate my dick, my body, my friends, my lovers, everybody that, you know, represents my family. When they talk about community and family values, I also belong to a family and a community. My family values are also as important as the next person's. So I want to go on like Instagram and Facebook and social media and also just say, hey, you know what? This is just as important as you and your baby stroller and whatever it is that you're doing in your life. And I think that's an important message. And this is why I keep doing it. I've had 15 Facebooks. I just had my current Instagram just got censored. And it's a pain in the ass because when you lose your followers, people like don't know that you were, you know, deactivated. So a year from now, people are going to hit me up. They're going to be like, oh, I thought you deleted me because you like blocked me, you know? So yeah, I think to me, this is not the hill I want to die on, but this is something that I believe strongly about. And this is what my work's about, whether it's if I'm doing visual work or videos or music or any of that. This is an important thing because I grew up when I grew up in New York City, even though it's New York City and we're so liberal and all that shit.
Yeah.
I grew up like as a fucking, you know, kid. And I think that, you know, in New York, we do have certain liberties and privileges that other people don't have. But I was like in the subway and I saw this, like, I don't know, this like young person, this guy go up to this girl and ask her for her number. And I thought, oh, this is so cute, young love. This is so great. But then I thought, you know what, even though I'm not shy and I grew up in New York, I never went up to a fucking guy as a queer and said, hey, you're really cute, give me your number. And that's for fear of violence. Even in New York, we have to hide who we are. We might not think that we're being oppressed, but that we are still oppressed.
And what's interesting is that more, for instance, I just read an article that said like 40% of teenagers are identifying as non-binary, LBGT. I mean, they're expanding. So at the same time that there's this new Puritanism coming in, there's also an expansion of not wanting to be defined as normal sexuality. So, I mean, this is the conundrum that we face in these times. And I think it is really hard for artists right now that are going beyond the pale, or even like Slava Magutin. I mean, you know, other friends that I have that are Ron Athey, that are expanding the boundaries, and that have, and I mean, especially Ron Athey also, you know, has been crucified.
Right, since forever.
Forever. I mean, in many ways, and crucified himself as well, but on a different form. Yeah. He's owned the crucifixion. Yeah. So, I mean, this is just what we face, and we are not alone.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I always thought, you know, because I grew up, I'm 42 now, so I grew up in like the end of the 90s or middle of the 90s. You know, all the artists that I love from the 80s and from your time and from before that, who were people that were pushing, you know, not just like fighting censorship for the sake of fighting censorship, but fighting for a right to also exist. Those people that fought these fights, like the Ron Athys and
Aaron Finley as well.
Yeah, just like the whole lot of
David Warner Rowitz. By the way, I saw
my favorite artist.
My favorite artist, my favorite writer, my favorite artist. And by the way, with Tim's band Grid, we have an album recorded where I'm reading John Recchi, Henry Miller, and David Wojnarowicz. And I did his last reading with him before he passed away. Absolutely my favorite artist. Period.
I love David's work. I went to see his retrospective, I guess, I don't know, at the Whitney. I went to see it twice. I went to see it by myself, and I love him. I read Close to the Knives when I was like 15 and totally.
Close to the Knives is absolutely one of the just at top literature. His paintings, his graffiti, his photography. He was such an expressive, well-rounded out, and I mean that in all ways. And so I do a reading from the Waterfront Journals on this, and I mean, these are just important, you know, all of this collective, and we always like to call it connective tissue here, that, you know, there is a connection between people that will continue to fight the battles and continue to create art outside of the mainstream that is still important to a minority, which I think is important.
Yeah, and I think it's like full circle to go back to like now the kids, everybody's like, you know, there's so many, there's no gender construct and all that. I think that we aren't the minority. We were led to believe that we were the minority as far as who we are sexually and who we are as people. But really, I think it's gone full circle where we're actually the majority. And I think that's why all these fucking conservative fucking freaks are freaking out. Yeah, because they're like, oh shit, they were actually the minority.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the real perversion is coming from the right-wing conspiratorial domestic violators, grab them by the pussy motherfuckers.
That's right.
Liars, pathological liars, hypocrites. And so there's the uprising of all, I mean, right now there's an uprising of so many different movements that it's refreshing and horrifying at the same time.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, same. It's like, but yeah, I try to, the kids keep me hopeful because it's not the change I wish we were living in, but they keep me hopeful because I'm like, yeah, fucking, you know, they're off the shoulders of the generation before and so on and so on and so on. But, you know, I do see that little bit of progress is like the light at the end of the tunnel that keeps me, you know, excited for the future.
Well, so speaking of individuals, obviously you're getting this corporate censorship from, do individuals ever kind of come at you, attack you for your work? Do you ever?
Yes.
Okay.
All the time.
Okay.
So I was having this conversation with a friend of mine. He was like, he died, it was a new friend. And I was just telling him how like, I feel like even within the fucking community, even between with the gays, it's like, because what I do it in an open way. I share myself. My work is a way for me to be able to share myself, and I do it in a sense where, you know, I tell it how it is. If I talk about sex, I'm not just like photographing people having sex. I'm in the photographs. If I'm telling a story, I'm revealing personal things. And I think that people look down at that. People look down at that because that's considered not professional. And my thing is, I'm not trying to be professional. I'm trying to express myself creatively. So even within like the people who I would think would be uplifting me for celebrating my queerness in an open way, I get it all the time. People look down on me and people have such negative views on sexuality and on sex that, you know, people, you know, sometimes when they meet me, they're like, oh, and you're smart, you're articulate. I'm like, yeah, you have such negative views on sex and sexuality that you automatically associated because I'm sexual in an open way.
I love exactly what you're saying, but that's because it shows so much shame and humiliation about sex people and frustration. And that's why when I say something like, I respect what Larry Flint did on a big part of the interviews of going after Republicans, hypocritical sexual predators, of showing often a duplicity about this. And again, everybody has fucking sex almost.
Everything like we're doing something different.
Well, not everyone.
Well, you know what? I haven't had enough lately, but I'm open for suggestions.
Well, abstinence is the greatest perversion of all. And
trust me, I was really perverted when I was abstinent for a while, and that was just my choice. Sometimes you just have to clean out the whatever you want to call it down there. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the artwork. So besides doing psychedelic, very colorful visual depictions of all kinds of sexy subjects, you write plays, you do music, you do all kinds of things. When did you start, and who were your influences, you know, when you were just a young wee lad?
I think, you know, like I always did visual work. It always came natural to me since I was a kid. When I was 25, I moved to London. And when I got to London, I started doing music.
What kind of music do you do?
It was, you know, I'm not a musician. I collaborate with musicians. I was telling stories, and it was put to just like a really kind of not. When I worked with musicians, it was different because it was live, and there was a live instrument part to it. But what I recorded was like really kind of just shitty electronic music. But at the time, I was like so into it because it was the first time that I was able to express myself musically.
Right. Well, and I think it's so important to express yourself verbally with or without music.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I'm still a very staunch supporter, having just never being able to shut up for the spoken word, illustrated or not.
No, yeah, no, I loved it, and it was a great time. And I actually, for what it was, I did okay. I got signed to a small label in London, and I got to tour a little bit, and I got to play some big festivals.
When was that?
Where or when?
When?
This was like 2005, 2006.
And who were your musical influences at that point, or who were you listening to?
You know, I grew up with a little bit of everything, but like top that I listen to all the time. I listened to Patti Smith. I listened to jazz. I was just listening to you know, Billie Holiday and that whole thing.
You're naming what I love. I do love Billie Holiday. My favorite song is "Ghost of Yesteryear."
Okay, yeah, no, I love all Bill and Nina Simone as well.
Absolutely, that's why you love Joseph Keckler.
Yeah, exactly. I love
He
Joseph
just
Keckler.
Literally emailed me as we were talking about something else, and I know that you said that you mentioned it in one of your emails to me. So again, the connective tissue, because somebody recommended that we interview Joseph for the show, and the same way that somebody recommended Tom Harrison that we interview you. So this is again how this works. This kind of full circle collective here.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think it's important. And I appreciate what you're doing. And I appreciate it for myself and as far as like the bigger picture of it as well, because it's important to kind of just, know that, sometimes when, it's the sense of community. It's nice to have it. And as artists, we do what we do because it's who we are. But it's nice to know that, there's other people who are going through the same thing and are also, there.
And of different generations and from different backgrounds and of different disciplines.
Yes.
I mean, and this is, when I was coming up in No Wave, because there was film, there was photography, there was spoken word, written word, music, that again, that's why in this podcast, we try to kind of remember and bring in different disciplines and different generations. It's so important to me.
Yeah, no, that's important. It's all tied in together.
I was going to ask you, kind of going back to just when you were really young, I mean, based on the age you told me. So, I mean, Guatemala in the 80s was really fucking insane.
And yeah, do you go back there? Do you still have a lot of family?
Sorry. I got cut off when I left. I got cut off from my family. So I grew up in the US as a 5-year-old.
Were you adopted or what?
I wish.
Real 5-year-old runaway?
No. I mean, I got cut off from
cousins and uncles and all.
Family.
Were you guys? Was it refugees or how did that?
No, we just my parents were very young. They had me when I was when they were 15. So
okay.
So we moved to Queens, and I grew up in the U.S. and it's a really, it's a blessing and a curse, just like being queer, where you're growing up, you just want to be like everybody else, but you're different.
But you're not.
Yeah, you're not. And then the curse of it is because you kind of, you feel like the outsider. But then the blessing of it is that you get a whole different perception because you get to see the world through your eyes, but then you also see the world of how the world perceives you. And that's a fucking blessing. And that expands your just everything, your whole world.
Did you raise yourself?
Yes, pretty much.
Because if your parents were 15, I mean, they're kids themselves having a kid, and they're experiencing everything for the first time too. It's true. It's people should think it through when they have kids, because it's not fun having parents who are kids.
But also that you realize who your real family is beyond the bloodline.
Yes. Yeah.
That's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. And those, you find your own family. Exactly.
Did you go to museums by yourself as a kid? When did you
No,
fall in
I
love?
didn't. And these are like the things that I'm like, I'm here in the present, so there's nothing I can do about my childhood.
Sure.
And it's not like no boohoo or any of that. But I would have liked it if they would have, I don't know, somebody would have said, hey, you like to do art, you're drawing all the fucking time, you're a little kid. Maybe we want to kind of, support that in some way.
But like I see, I have to cut in because so many of the artists you like or the artists we like didn't. I mean, Tim had some encouragement. A lot of people have not had encouragement as artists, and especially as extreme artists. They just didn't from their family, and that's why we find our family.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true.
We just didn't have it from there. Because look, I don't even know how I read the books I read at 12 and 13 because I don't remember ever there being a book in my fucking house.
Yeah.
Until I found the books magically that I needed to read.
Yeah.
Even living in New York City, like you didn't take class trips to museums or anything.
No, I mean, no, we did, of course. No,
Right.
We did do that, but it wasn't. Yeah, I know. I'm not complaining because I had it good because other people have had it worse. So I'm appreciative of what I had. I did.
Gio, who, when you were say 13, 14, 16, who did you come to first in literature or music or painting that you said, I'm going there?
I just.
Can you remember?
I don't remember. Like around the time when I was like 15, 16, I used to, I was like 16, 17. It was weird. It was weird because I'm not going to drag it out, but I was working as an intern for a company that designed sports apparel. And when you're like a kid from like the projects, that's like, whoa, that's everything because there's money and you're like working in the city.
I'm creative in a sense.
Yeah. So nobody said, hey, you like art. So like, let's try to kind of like nourish that. They were like, oh, you have a talent, so we can make money off of that talent. So that was my introduction to like everything. And actually, to be honest, it wasn't until I was like 24. I've been like working at like corporate jobs for like 8-9 years.
Because you have to fucking eat.
Yeah, I had to eat, and that's fine. But I was so naive that like I didn't know how the world worked when I was like 24, 25. I made friends with kids that were going to college that were my age at the time. They're going to like NYU, and I said to my friends like, and they were sweet and they were beautiful towards me because they shared what they had. And I said to them, aren't you guys like, they were going for theater for Tisch. So I said, aren't you guys like worried about like when you graduate, like how you're going to like pay your bills? And
What was amazing is as a person with a sense of reality, you realize you have to pay your bills. And let's face it, art, music, literature doesn't necessarily pay the fucking bills.
Yeah, no, exactly. So like, but the thing was that was the first time that I saw the economical inequalities of the world, because they were like, oh no, that's our dream. And when they said that's our dream, and my fucking head exploded. I was like, what do you mean your dream? I don't have a fucking dream. My dream is to like pay my bills and like fucking pay my rent.
A reality check.
Yeah.
Not rich parents.
Yeah. So then, but the thing is this though, there's also a blessing and curse, is a positive to everything negative. The thing is this, that was the first time I was like, I want to fucking have a dream too. And I quit my job then because that wasn't my dream. So I'm not shitting on people who do corporate work. It just wasn't what I wanted to do. And my whole thing was, I want to have a dream too. And that was like I did all the other jobs to be able to sustain myself. I was a go-go dancer. I was a gardener. I worked in clubs. I worked in the carpentry studio. I was, cleaning apartments.
Reality check to most people. You want to be an artist, a musician, a writer, you might have to have a fucking day job.
Yeah, and but you know what? All the things. Yeah, go on. Sorry, Tim.
No. I was just basically
Tim,
up.
Tim's had jobs as well. I mean,
yeah,
he's one of the lucky few that was able to have as few jobs as possible. But as a juggler, that's my talent.
Yeah, no, and that is the reality, and that's the reality of creatives. But all those experiences that I had, all these like kind of jobs that were just like jobs that I didn't give a fuck about, it all added to my art later, because I was a gardener. Suddenly like plant materials started like materializing on my paintings. And that was such a gift, because everywhere that we go, we can take inspiration from little things. Yeah, so that's why I ended up moving to London, and then just I wanted to create my own person. And like you said, did I raise myself? In a way, I didn't. I didn't want to have like this given name thing that was going to credit like my family or my dad who was
really, what did the family have to do with our creation? Nada.
Yeah, exactly. So then, and then here we are.
And here we are.
Yes, it's interesting.
Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
I have I'm a little vanilla today. I have a tea actually.
Tea's nice. I just discovered it.
Oh yeah, I'm into tea. Although last night I went to Lickerton, so
Lickerton.
But
I mean, there's a little liquor right over here right now, and I ain't talking the whiskey.
Look out! Look out!
Excuse me, but don't.
So what brought you to London? Why you're in New York? You're like, I want to move to London.
Okay, so rewind a little bit because I can just around something that was kind of like a thing in my life was so when I was like 15, 16, 17, I wanted to go to clubs and experience nightlife. And at the time I was still only having heterosexual sex. I knew that I was like into guys, but I also knew I was into.
But I bet you were still good at it, honey.
Yeah, no, and I still do, and I'm bisexual, and I guess pansexual.
Hey, don't accuse me of what I got between my legs because you don't even know what's down there.
Yeah, exactly. We are in our genitals. We are into our age. We are in our race. We are.
When was the last time you had a girlfriend?
Girlfriend.
Hey, what about right now, motherfucker?
Yeah. Girlfriend has been.
How about a boyfriend, girlfriend like me?
I had I have fuck buddies that are women. I have fuck buddies that are women and same as like I have fuck buddies that are guys.
Hang on about the fucking for a minute. Boyfriend, girlfriend, I don't like those terms. I mean, I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of any kind of traditional category on anything.
Right. Yeah.
I like relationships of all kinds.
Right.
I like sex of all kinds. I don't like to put a label on it, especially as I sit here manspreading and mansplaining.
Yeah, I like all that.
The rest of the world. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I like that too, and I also
I think could be your girlfriend, boyfriend.
Yeah, and I know, and
I know I was your girlfriend. What I'm thinking now of that. Actually, I'm thinking of that Gail Dorsey song. Wasn't it her that said, "I know he was your boyfriend, but not last night." Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's important to take apart those words that
constructs.
Yeah,
these
constructs. It's good to remind ourselves.
So I digress. So you're still mostly having heterosexual sex, but then this leads up to London.
So no, hold on. So then
do you still have sex with women? I started to push myself into this. You still have sex with so-called women?
Yeah, we just covered this.
I'm covering it again because I'm still curious. I'm bi-curious.
Oh, there you go. No, so I wanted to go to nightlife because that's where like people, it's nightlife. So then I got this club which to hire me to paint on canvas at the club before I was 18. So they hired me to paint on canvas, and when
shows were going on live, painting live.
It was like people hanging in cages from the ceiling.
Where, New York or London?
New York.
Yeah, painting live, action painting.
Yeah, and then when I was there one night, this guy came up to me. He said, "Hey, you'd be perfect for a film. Do you want to fucking do you want to read for this film?" He gave me the contact. You're a total creeper, like fucking coming out of the shadows. And then I got this role for this film when I was like 18, and I got the lead. And then next thing I knew, they were like,
what?
What's that?
Doing what?
I was the lead actor, and I played. It's a super controversial film, and at the time it was like 1999 at the time. So
what the fuck is the name of this controversial film, honey?
It's called Eben and Charlie, and I played Charlie. And Charlie is a 15-year-old 15-year-old who has a sexual relationship with a 30-something-year-old soccer teacher.
I'm creaming.
Yeah. And so anyway, so like that kind of was like what fucking weird in my life. It just came out of nowhere, and we shot it in Portland, Oregon, and suddenly I was surrounded by all these like film people, in Portland, Oregon.
Big film people doing weird shit.
Yeah, a lot of sharks in the water. And I'm actually, but I'm an introvert, extrovert. I'm actually shy. I'm excited to talk to you guys. I'm all over the place today. And you know, in a way, I say to my friend, he's always like, really, you're like that? I'm like, yeah, dude, you know, I'm shy. He's like, you're not shy. I'm like, no, Gio Black Peter, you know, like most performers, is a avatar I created to be able to express myself in the way that, you know, Giovanni can't express himself because he's a shy person. He's a
Giovanni, Gio Black Peter. I'm not shy at all. I'm just giving you a little hug right now, honey bunny. All right.
Okay.
Just saying, I don't even know what shy means, but I always love shy boys.
But were you shy before though, or like all your life? Like,
I was never shy.
No.
Never? Yeah, no.
I don't even know what that feels like. Unless I'm holding it in my arm.
It feels kinky. That's what shy feels like now.
Look, shy boys, especially shy girls, even they often come to Big Mama lunch.
Okay,
they know they're safe here to a point.
Yeah, well, there you go.
You're only shy to a point there, baby.
You're only shy, yeah, exactly.
Giovanni's shy, and then Gio comes out. Watch out, motherfuckers.
That's true.
I'm just thinking about those painting videos called Communion that are glory holes. You ain't holding that back, me, honey.
Yeah, I'm actually, it's like I was sending one during the break. I'm working on one now, so I was just like sending. I think it was quite funny. I feel like Jesus or Geppetto or something.
I still want to know what brought you to London.
So then I ended up going to London because I fell in love with someone who lived in London, and I was there for 4 years, and we ended up dating for 13 and a half years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Open relationship, may I ask?
Well, you know, people always say that, and the thing is, when you're in a relationship with someone, there's always two people in the relationship. Do you mean, did we fuck other people? I mean, yeah. A relationship, I couldn't handle being in a relationship with one person. I couldn't be polyamorous people. I give them so much credit, so much props. I can't with one person. I can barely fucking get on with myself, let alone two people.
With one person, I can barely get off on myself.
Well, no, that's
not. I'm getting off with myself. Just saying. That ain't one person. That's me, myself, and I. That's already a game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get it.
I know you do. So you, like I know, are a night owl. I've read this about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm guessing you get energy at night. Like I get energy at night.
I do too. You know,
I was ready to fall asleep before this conversation because I have been road dogging for over like 33 days right now. And then I have 43 years and 33 days. I just like sleep is for amateurs.
So do you get energy at night, like when the sun just goes in? My day is like a crescendo. I wake up, I start really slow and just constantly build until I just pass out.
Kim Doll takes longer than any woman I've ever met to get ready in the morning.
I'm slow in the morning.
He is the best smelling man I've ever inhaled, but he is Stalin Tim Doll. I can get ready in about 10 or 12 minutes.
Mornings are just not good for me. I said, anyhow, all right. So you come back to New York. You have this whole new persona.
Yeah, I've been like, well, no, because I kind of started it in New York a little bit. So
look, we expand as we go on.
Yeah, you evolve. We evolve.
Right.
No, so I came back to New York, like, you know, I don't know, like 5 years after London, and then, you know, here we are now.
Where would you like to go next? Because, you know, I wake up every day and think I need to move again, and I've moved to many different places every day. Even when I'm on tour, I'm like, this is good, but then I'm going to go back, and where am I going to go next? Even though I'm not going to go next immediately. It's always on my mind.
I love Berlin. I was just in Berlin. I've always loved Berlin. I've been many times. I spent 2 months of the summer, 1 month in Sweden. I had an exhibition in a gallery in Sweden. And that was fun because the Swedish people.
Well, there's great people everywhere.
Yeah, but they're what? Pretty people?
There's great people everywhere. And you know what? In Scandinavia used to be my biggest supporters of spoken word. Because they read a lot because it's cold half the year.
Yeah, and also they don't have any like weird puritanical sex hang-ups. And you can jump in naked in a lake, any fucking lake. I love that. I just want to be naked in nature.
Yeah, you can jump in naked in my bathtub, honey, and it ain't a lake, but you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying, all freedom to you, my friend.
Yeah, so I love that. So, but I'm not. So then after that, I spent a month in Berlin, which I hadn't been in a long time since COVID. I hadn't had time to travel, and Berlin is always
It's fun.
speaks
It's
to
fun.
me. It
But
reminds-
it's everything is so accessible and so
I
it's
have to jump in on this.
affordable.
I have
But
to
I'll
do
say I'm
something.
gonna say one thing. I'll say one thing because one of the great T-shirts I saw sold in Berlin. Berlin, if you can't make it here, you can't make it anywhere.
But that's pride though, because
No,
New
I
York right
know.
now it's so fucking corporate and
I
commercial.
know.
Can I go a little bit deeper at this moment and say,
Sure.
and I do love the term fuck buddy. I'm just gonna say, what really turns you on, gets you off, makes you want to just even spend any time with somebody? What is important in that? And that is the sex and art of life. I'm just asking because I'm curious.
Well, I don't know. It's like I'm a single person now for the last 2.5, 3 years.
And you know what? I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a single fucking person because
No. But I mean, but what I'm trying to say is that I last time that I was single, where I was like thinking of trying to have a connection with someone, I was in a different place in my life. So now it's like a 42-year-old. I'm thinking about what gets me off, what turns me on, what do I want, what kind of partner or partners,
Partner's a partner, yes.
Yeah, or do I even need one, or what the whole thing is. And as I'm thinking about it, I'm open. I'm open for all.
You know what? That's why just in this conversation alone, I have grown to love you, my friend.
Okay,
And I knew that just from your art because I knew there was something. And let me say this. So before we had this conversation tonight, right? And I've been on the road for over a month, and I took a 20-minute nap. And let me tell you this. Your face, Gio, Black Peter, your face came in under my eyelids while I was trying to take a nap. And the only time this has ever happened before is my own face coming in under my eyelids. Your face was coming in under my eyelids, and it must have been that sexy picture of you on your website and just your black panties. I do favor black panties myself. I'm just saying, your face somehow came in under my eyelids.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I was trying to take a little nap.
That sounds like a good omen.
Because I already felt a very strong connection with you, my friend.
Same.
And I'm so happy you exist as an artist and as a human being.
Thank you.
We're open.
Yeah, why limit ourselves? We've never limited ourselves in other ways. Why limit ourselves in love?
And this is the one thing I've been talking about a lot lately is that constraints are put upon people as children by sexual segregation, finances, religion, and etc., bullyism, etc. And then people who have fear or insecurities put then more constraints upon themselves. What I try to do and what you try to do too is open a path for people to understand that in their most extreme freedoms, they are not alone in thinking or wanting what they are or do.
Right. It's true. People are scared of their own humanities or even not brave enough to face it. So artists do that and provide that.
And that's what we do.
Gift. It's our gift to the people. Yeah.
We are so fucking generous. We should be paid by the drops of saliva going down our fucking own gullets. And
I agree.
I do feel that people like us, like Ron Athey, like Karen Finley, like David Warner-Rowitz, like Henry Miller, like Hubert Selby, we're very generous in the revelations and the revealing of the reality of how we live. And this is, to me, what's the most important thing in life and creation, is to break free from any constraints put upon you by gender, race, age, financial disposition. And this, to me, is why I continue to not shut the fuck up.
Same. I love that. Exactly.
So what's coming up next for you? Do you have any big shows or anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I have my next solo exhibition is going to be in Berlin. So I'm excited.
When's that going to be?
That's going to be in the spring at P7 Gallery. So
is it going to be installation? Is it going to be paintings with performance? What's it going to be?
It's going to be a show of paintings, and I'm going to perform, and I'm going to work maybe on new music until before then. And so a little bit.
It's going to be multimedia.
Yeah, I want to be in the gallery every day. Actually, that's my proposal, and I want to hang out with the people. I want to talk to the people. I want to see the people. I guess I miss people since COVID, which But so yeah, so I'm excited. So that's gonna be May, June.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Well, we're going to close this off by now saying, break free, people. Be what you are. Know that you are not alone. And even if you are alone, quote unquote, you are not. Embrace what you do and who you are and what you want. There should be no restrictions. I mean, everything is becoming so closed yet so fucking open. It's just a conundrum at the moment. And that's why we do the Lydian Spin. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Longshimdahl and Gio Black Peter, possibly one of my future ex-lovers.
All right. Why not?